queens, let's talk January books I read. January reading recap and February TBR. I know that we're a little on the late side, but for whatever reason, I just remembered to do this. Anyways, let's get into it. Obviously, we're starting with what I read in January, and listen, Sarah takes priority over everything, okay? She always does. And I spent most of January reading House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath in preparation for January 31st, when obviously House of Flame and Shadow came out. House of Earth and Breath really wasn't as hard to get into as I thought it would be. Yes, the first 200 pages weren't the most interesting thing, and like it was kind of hard to understand some parts, but honestly, this book was really good, and I actually read this one really quickly in a matter of, let's see. I read it from January 1st to January 6th, so I read this book in less than a week. And it's an 800-page book, so I feel like that's pretty good. Anyways, my review of it. I loved this book. I really did. I thought this book was so good. I loved all the characters so much, as I typically do with Sarah. But I feel like I always have one character that like I don't really like or I feel a little bit off about. Not in this book. The characters that you're not really supposed to like, I didn't like. And the characters you are supposed to like, I loved. Okay, I loved. I think that the way that this book was set up, especially as you see it like kind of playing out in the other books, is crazy. Highly, highly recommend. This was a 5-star read for me. I thought it was so good. That moves us to House of Sky and Breath, obviously also by Sarah J. Maas. This one, honestly, was harder for me to get through because I personally don't love the planning book, if that makes sense. When you can feel that everything is leading up to something, but you're not sure yet what it is, and you're just seeing them make all of the plans and everything that's going to happen. Obviously, I love to see how it plays out in the future. I love having the knowledge that it gives me, but it's really hard for me to push through, and I don't know how to explain it better than that. So this book took me a bit longer to read. I read it from January 7th to January 18th. I know, not my best work, but I still loved it. I still think it was like a 5 out of 5-star read, just because Sarah just writes in a captivating way that I have literally never seen another author do. She's literally just the best. It is that simple. So this one was really good. Okay, and then if you saw this on TikTok, then you already know, but the last book that I read in January, I read from January 19th to 27th. You heard that right. A 430-page book took me that long. Well, let's talk about why. This is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This was a book for my very first ever book club. My friend Lauren picked this book out, and we both had talked about it previously because I thought it was just like a little Gossip Girl book, like a little hee-hee-ha-ha book. And that's why I waited so long into the month to read it, because our book club is at the end of the month. And I was like, oh, well, it's fine. I can read, my 2 Sarah J. Maas books, and then I'll just fly through this one. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. This book was really hard for me to get through. Very triggering for some things that I've been through in my life. And I rated it a 2 out of 5 stars because as much as I liked the writing, the 2 stars were for the way that Jessa writes. And the 3 other ones were taken away because I don't think that this story should have been written. My friend Lauren has been texting me about the other books in the series, and she said that the second one, Daisy Hades, is not near as bad as this one, but I just don't know. I personally plan on not reading any of the other books in the series because this book has re-traumatized me. This book has brought some things up that I wanted to stay down. If you are not triggered by like extremely toxic relationships, manipulation, cheating, and stuff like that, then you might enjoy it. Like, you'll understand why I didn't like it, but you might enjoy it. But if any of those things have happened to you, I highly hope that you stay away from this book because it's not so good. Not so good for your mental health, I promise. It's not even worth being curious about and just trying it out. No. I'm so excited. We're moving into February TBR. I have promised myself a lot here just because I'm getting way busier with things. Like, I'm trying to film more for YouTube, film more for TikTok. I'm planning a podcast, starting a podcast. So reading is sometimes hard to jump into amongst all those things. But we'll start with the first book that I've already started reading, and that is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. obviously. Now, I know what you're thinking, Grace, how have you not finished it yet? Honestly, I don't know. It really just comes down to I haven't had a ton of time. I definitely am very invested, and the story is coming together beautifully in my opinion, and I'm only like 300 pages in, but I am just running so low on time. So that's why I'm saying I'm kind of overestimating myself with this, but I definitely will finish this book in February. I can finish at least 2 books, I know that for sure. This is my first February TBR and I have started it. So next up, what we will be reading is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I have high hopes for this one because I really think that I'm going to enjoy the time period. It's set in 1714 and I just love reading old things. Not specifically historical fiction, but like sometimes it's fun. So this is my pick for book club. I'm hosting book club this month, so maybe I'll bring you guys along with me. This will be the next book that I'm reading and hoping for the best. So if I get through those 2, I will be picking back up on Icebreaker. I started reading this one because of the trauma that this one left me in. I'm hoping that this is just like a light little spicy romance book. But then House of Flame and Shadow came to my doorstep and obviously I dropped everything. I've literally never started 2 books at once before. If I finish these 2, then we will move on to Icebreaker and hopefully it will be a nice little fluffy romance to get me through. And that's what it says on the bag. It says Hannah Grace is an English self-labeled fluffy comfort book author. And that's exactly what I need. And this one's pretty highly reviewed, and my friend Lauren said she loved it, so that means that I'm gonna love it. You'll hear me mention my friend Lauren a lot when it comes to reading because she single-handedly started my obsession. If I get through those 3, which again, highly unlikely, but possible, then I will read Check and Mate by Allie Hazelwood because I have some catching up to do. Her new book, Bride, comes out this month. I don't know which date, it might already be out, but I do know that it comes out this month. And if you watch my other reviewing every single book I've ever read video, then you know that Allie Hazelwood is literally my favorite author. Not author of all time, but she's my favorite romance author. And it says that this is YA. Based off her other books, I'm not so sure how well YA this will be. I've heard that it's not really YA. It's like kind of YA, but not very YA. So anyways, we'll see about that. But I'm very excited for this one just because I think that she is so funny. This will also just be a nice, fluffy comfort romance book. But I'm so excited for Bride by her to come out because it's her first fantasy, or I guess they call it romantasy book. So I can't wait to see what's in store for that one. But thank you guys so much for watching. That is my January reading recap and February TBR. So I will see you guys at the end of February to recap all of these books and talk to you about what I'm reading in March. Bye!